What's up, guys? Welcome to the earliest episode I've done in a while. It is like 4:45 in the morning. Should have gotten up a little earlier. So we are out here this morning, as you may have guessed by the title, because this is probably the most requested episode. I can't do anything in these gloves that I've had in a long time, and that is for shooting the Milky Way with the S20 Ultra. Personally, I have serious doubts, but like I said, you guys, this is the most requested episode I've had in a really long time, so I'm gonna do it for you. So right now, the reason why I have to come out here so early is because I've only got about 40 minutes left, maybe, to photograph the Milky Way, because it's only the galactic core, which is actually right over there, is only visible until about 5:30 this morning. So I figured it was a nice time for a random stroll in the middle of nowhere in the desert. So I've got this yucca lit up right here. I'm using a Lume Cube. I'm using a Lume Cube Air, and I don't know why I put my glove back on, because I need to get my phone out. Bear with me for a second. So I got a couple things going on today. The first thing is I'm gonna do this Milky Way shoot. And the second thing is, I don't know if you see me, but I'm pretty decently lit up out here, and you probably can't see anything else. And that's because I'm using my Lume Cubes. So Lume Cube reached out to me, and this is not a, this is kind of a sponsored episode, actually. It's not a paid episode, they're not paying me to do anything, but we are doing a giveaway, and I'm going to give away a Lume Cube Air VC. So let's get set up, and then we'll talk some more about that here in a little bit. But initially, what I want to do is go ahead and get my phone set up, and then I'm going to walk you guys through my settings. Alright, so I'm going to get this screen capture going on for you guys. I got to move a little bit to get my phone out of this light. So there are going to be a few problems. The first of which is, even though we have the Pro mode in the new UI 2.0, not just for the S20 Ultra, but also for, this is the Note 10, and I think the S10 also, the Note 10 Plus and the S10 Plus. Even though we have the new UI 2.0 has allowed us to do 3200 ISO and up to 30 seconds now. So that's great. That's going to help a lot. However, the downside is that we can still only use the main lens on here, which is an equivalent of a 26 millimeter for full frame. So for astrophotography, if you guys want to learn more about astrophotography in general, you should check out, I have a bunch of videos on that. You should check out this one right here. That'll help you out get started. But basically, there's something called the 500 rule, and what we need to do is divide our focal length, divide 500 by our focal length, and that will give me the longest shutter time that I can have open without getting star trails, without getting the blur. So unfortunately, 30 seconds at this is probably going to give me a little bit of motion blur. So I'm going to go ahead and crank this all the way up to 3200 ISO. And you can see the downside is right now that there's not much. I need to raise this up. There's not much in the frame. So that is kind of a bummer. And that's because we're at 26 millimeters effectively, full frame comparison. So what I would do, and I can't do it yet, but I will do it for you guys, I promise, is I have pre-ordered a Moment case. And as soon as that Moment case gets here, hopefully sometime in April, I will put a wide lens on here and get a wider field of view. And that might help me, because the wider angle will allow me to do a longer shutter speed. But for right now, I'm going to start it at 15 seconds, and I'm going to see what that looks like. I'll do a 30-second one too, and we'll see how bad, if any, we get motion blur in the stars. But I suspect that we will. and it's also going to be really noisy at 3200 ISO. But if you want to take pictures of the stars, so all right, that's too bright. So a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the white balance down a little bit. I'm going to manual focus. I'm going to manual focus on infinity so that we can get the stars. And then I've got to turn that light down. So what I'm going to do is actually take the light off and just flash it. Oh, you know what? The great thing, that's Lume Cube 2.0. The great thing about that is it has a night sky mode. So super, super dim. I'm going to set it to that. We're getting a little bit of spill from this main light. Well, let's see if that's any better. So while we're waiting, another thing you can do is you can set this to voice command so that when you say capture, it'll capture. That way you're not touching it. Otherwise, you can set it to a timer, and that'll help a lot. So that's a little bit better. That looks black and white. The surprising thing is, I would tell you, looking on the back of the screen, there is a Milky Way there. So that is already leaps and bounds better than the Note 10 Plus could do. But for a quick comparison, let's try it. I'll try the Note 10 Plus real quick. That cactus is still overexposed. So what I need to do is move this light. But before I do that, we'll try the Note 10 Plus. So on the Note 10, we have the option to set it to f1.5, which is the wider aperture that it has on here. So we're going to do that. And then we're manual focusing to infinity. Everything else looks the same. I'm going to go ahead and take the shot. This will be interesting if they're really close, because technically the S20 Ultra has a bigger sensor. So we'll have to look at that on the computer and see how the images look, because you just can't tell well enough on the back of the screen. I tell you right now, that cactus is overexposed, but the Milky Way is there a lot better than it was when I did the Can You Shoot the Milky Way with the S9 Plus, and it's better than the last time I tried it, even with the Note 10 Plus. It still needs some work, and right off the bat, it does look like the S20 image is better. So I'm going to tweak these a little bit. I'm going to put the S20 back on, and I'm going to turn this off so that we can get the cactus lit up properly, so that it doesn't look like complete crap, and then I'll try it again. But for this image, we were just looking at the stars, basically, so I'm not too worried about it. All right, let's get switched here. All right, so I did the Note 10 again, and I got the light better on the cactus there. So now I'm going to try and change the settings a little bit. So we're going to do a couple different things here. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to drop my ISO actually down to 1600, and then I'm going to up the shutter speed to 30 seconds. And then I might even try to drop it down to 800 just to see what happens, to see if we can get a little cleaner image. Because in astrophotography, the lower your ISO, well, in any photography, the lower your ISO goes, the better, cleaner image you're going to have. So let's try that. I'm going to turn the light out and we'll give it a go. All right, so I went through and I did 30 seconds at ISO 800, and another one at 30 seconds ISO 1500 or 1600, and then another one at 30 seconds ISO 3200. So on the S20, I only did that on the S20. They look really decent on the S20 on the back here. The weird thing that I'm noticing though, and I don't know what's going on, but they look black and white on the back of the screen. And okay, so there's a color. So the raw is color. I don't know why it's compressing the JPEG into black and white, but it's tripping me out. I should also note that I am shooting in raw. You do have to go in here to settings and turn that on. So I'll show you how I do that real quick. So go up here into settings, and we are going to scroll to the save options, and we're going to make sure that this save raw copies is switched on. So that will give you the raw, and you will be able to edit those much better because the JPEGs are quite compressed and we want to do our own editing to that. So on that note, I am going to wrap this up here because I only have a couple minutes of Milky Way left. I'm going to grab a quick shot with my 1DX2, what I'm filming this with, and try to get a similar shot so you guys can see. It's not scientific, but just so you guys can see basically the difference between this and a high-end DSLR with good lens on it. So I'll throw that up, and then we'll go have some breakfast and some tea and talk about this when the sun comes back up, and we'll wrap it up. All right, sun's up, beautiful morning. We come out here, I'm changing, it's the second sunrise composition I'm doing this morning. I already did one. It was pretty decent watching the sun come up this morning after I already got all that stuff edited. So I got back at like 5:45, had some tea, some breakfast, edited the images, had some more breakfast, second breakfast, came out here, got a shot over there that came out really nice. And now I'm just gonna set up and get a little more golden hour light on this church over here. Really cool looking adobe church. Looks really good in the morning. Thought I might try to grab a shot. It's definitely a long lens shot. Pretty far away. Let me get set up here real quick and then we'll talk about the images. All right, got that going on a nice morning time lapse. So S20 Ultra Milky Way. I think it definitely surprised me. It came out better than I anticipated. I will say I'm not completely impressed, especially, I mean, compared to the cameras that I normally use. So go into this with a grain of salt based on my results, and go into this with an open mindset in terms of know that it's a phone. It's not a DSLR. It doesn't have expensive fast glass, you know, that kind of stuff. That being said, I'm really impressed with the improvements that Samsung has done over this past year or so since the last few times I've tried it. I definitely think that it's good enough to start working with, and I'm looking forward to trying it with the moment lens and trying it with a little bit wider angle in that pro mode. I think that's going to help a lot. But even right now, just with that 26mm main lens, it looks pretty decent. So still really noisy, still really a bit artifacty, a bit color, a lot of color noise actually. And the Note 10 Plus, it looked horrible in comparison. And I was surprised even with the updates in the Note 10 Plus that I was still even able to capture it. But that larger sensor and whatever else Samsung has improved in the firmware and all that stuff in the S20 line with my S20 Ultra looks a lot better. And I would plausibly be okay with if I tweaked it a little better, especially with that wide angle again on there. I would possibly be okay with posting that on social media, and I think that's pretty cool. So what do you guys think? Is it good enough for you? Do you want to, does that make you want to go out and try some Milky Way stuff? I'm going to try it again when the Milky Way is higher, and again, like I said a million times already, when I get that wide angle, and I think it's going to look a lot better. Hopefully I'll get out and find a better composition than something that was just in my backyard. All right, so let's talk about the Lume Cubes real quick. So Lume Cube has reached out to me, and in this time of chaos and pandemics and isolations and all of that, there's a lot of people working from home. And the cool thing, if you guys follow my channel, you know that I have used Lume Cubes for a long time. Basically since they came out. I bought the first one, I bought the second one, I bought the panel, I bought two sets. I bought two of the Lume Cube Airs, which is what we're going to give away today. We're going to give away the Lume Cube Air. So I have purchased all of these. Like I said, I invested in them. They have helped me a lot. I use them anytime I do night stuff. I use them for product photography. I use them for all kinds of stuff. I use them for portrait photography sometimes. I've done some really cool episodes like this. You can check those out to see how else I'm using them. But anyway, suffice it to say, I really like the Lume Cubes. I like the power that they offer in the size. I love the company Lume Cube. I love supporting those guys. They've done a lot for us creators, and they continue to do a lot for those creators, for us creators. Another cool thing, again, they're not paying me to say this or anything else, but they do on their Instagram channel, they do, if you want a chance to win free Lume Cubes every single week, you can follow them on their Instagram channel and use the hashtag capture4cubes. And that'll put you in the running to win a Lume Cube. And you don't need a Lume Cube to enter that. It can be any sort of lighting. The Capture for Cubes is based on unique lighting setups. So it could be a portrait, it could be a landscape, it could be astro. Anything that has beautiful, natural, or artificial light, it doesn't matter. Anything that looks cool, that's lit very interestingly, use that hashtag and you have a chance to win. I've done it in the past, I've never won. But it's really cool that Lume Cube offers stuff like that. And like I said, they want to help with creators to keep creating, because I think it's so important, especially right now with all of this social distancing and self-isolation and everything, to really stay creative. And if you have to work from home and do stuff like I do, or you have to go out at nighttime or whatever, or you want to do podcasts or just light something in your house, Lume Cubes are a great addition to any photography or videography bag, and they help me a lot. So here's what you need to do to win one of these guys. Go over to, first, this is gonna be an Instagram thing, so go over to my Instagram, make sure you're following me, make sure you're following Lume Cube, that's super important, and find this image on my Instagram, comment on it, like it, comment on it, tag a friend if you want to, or multiple friends, and let me know what you think about the S20 Ultra for Milky Way. Just give me something in the comments about being stoked for creating, let me know if you like astro, ask me a question, anything. So that comment that you put on this image right here, again on my channel, after you followed me and Lume Cube, I will pick a random comment and I will DM you through Instagram. That's also really important. I'll DM you through Instagram and Lume Cube will hook you up. All right, time lapse is almost done. I'm almost done. Second breakfast, third breakfast maybe? It's like 8 o'clock and I'll be going on third breakfast. What else are you gonna do when you're self-isolating and social distancing, right? Cook lots of delicious food. All right, if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to my channel. I've got new videos every week. Hit that like button if this video helped you out or if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. This thermos is amazing. It's one of those Arctic ones. I don't know. I just know that it keeps my tea super warm. Can you see the steam coming out of it? It was like 29 degrees this morning when I filmed the rest of this. And this is like the third one I've had. And it's still super hot. That's really impressive. There's nothing better than hot tea. Landscape and hot tea.